Today we're looking at a painting that's really a drawing with paint, and it was done very quickly by an artist named Miro. If you speak to a French person about the painter Miro, he will say that Miro means weird eye. So what we're looking at is kind of a portrait of a baby bird or a chick. It has several colors. It is mostly geometric shapes and some scribbles and lines. He was filling up space with small lines and thick lines, and he has an eye and sort of a beak shape, big circle. So that draws your eye in. He used color for psychology so that you would look at different parts of the picture and it would lead you around. So look at the negative space that he's filled. This is the outside of the bird. The positive space he filled with colors and shapes, like kind of wing-like shapes and beak and eye, and maybe this is the mouth, and then looking up at the sun or maybe mama bird feeding it. So this is kind of interesting. Think about the shapes. Circle, kind of a vase shape, or almost a body, and then these lines. So this is a copy of the one, and I'll show you the original, but I'm going to do another copy of this and start out with the shapes so you can break it down and see how it comes together. It is tricky to reproduce something that was done quickly because you have to do it sort of quickly to get the same feeling and emotion and gist of what it is. Now, he had pure color, and I had to blend those in because I was moving things around, and then, you know, if you're going over black, you have to go lighter or darker or whatever, and it's hard to go over black, so you really have to think about what you're doing. I used pencil, I used watercolors, and I used a marker, and I used some pastel crayons, but you could draw this with crayons and a pencil. It would be fine. So let's start out with the drawing of this Miro bird, M-I-R-O. We're using line, mostly circular, wavy lines, some shapes, circle, 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 teardrop, wing shape, and then a lot of scribbles and lines and things. So not many colors, mostly primary, one secondary, which is green, and that's it. So let's get started. I've got a piece of white paper, which you'll need. We're starting vertical, up and down. Now I have my reference right here, over and up out of the way. You'll just see the corner of it, but I'm seeing the whole thing. Now, to start, I need a pretty good sized, almost circle. It's not super round. And then I need this teardrop shape. And then I need a big circle here, and another circle here, and a big circle here. Now this is going to be red, this is going to be left white, and this is going to be blue. So this is going to be the black line around it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just looking and trying to emulate or be like this. It is a copy, but at the same time, you're going to do your own thing. And that's the beauty of looking at famous art or anything like that. Somebody probably had a great idea. It's okay if you practice that idea too. That will give you your own ideas. That's great. We look at others that we like to learn things that we want to know how to do. That's by mimicking. You saw someone walk before you could walk, and then you wanted to do that too. That's how we learn as humans. So this is the start. I have all those shapes. I have everything split up. Let's look. I know that I could put my black line in, but that was probably done last. So I probably want to put my lightest color in, which is yellow. If you're working with crayons, this is the time to get your colors. You need red, yellow, and blue, and you will need green, but not much. So, starting out with my yellow. Now I need to clean out my paint. This is pretty murky and dirty because we used black and went back in with it. So if you're using paints at home or wherever, you'll probably want to clean out your yellow. Make sure it's nice and bright and vivid and clean, and you want it to look like yellow, not yellow gray, but yellow. Miro, the French painter, used very bright colors, so that is one of his trademarks. Like a lot of artists will look at, he's going to use very bright colors. So pretty much that's it for our yellow. There's a little faint yellow up here, as you see. There's a little bit of yellow in here, very light. Pick up just a little, put that in. And that's that. That part's done. Let that dry. And if you work really wet, it may bleed together. So think about how much water you're using as you fill in your colors. I'm going next to this, but as long as I don't just bleed right into it, it'll be fine. And that's nice and bright and vivid. And up here, this, put this in, and that's fine. And my thick line will go over if I was sloppy or if it didn't look right or what have you. So then this red part right here, and then there's another part. I want to leave that white there, but I know I need the red here. And this does kind of surround that. If I want it brighter, I have to dip in and get more color and bring it back. And that's that. So I want to let this dry before I go in with my blue. I'll do my blue here and here probably. You plan as you go. You skip parts that are too wet so that you don't ruin what you're doing, and you think about it. And this blue is really wet, so I don't want to bleed into anything. His colors in this picture are pretty faint. They're solidly filled in, but they're not super dark. Black is doing the work of that in this picture. It's a drawing, but it's drawn with paint, and that way he would work really fast. He would kind of look at a bird or something and then do all these different versions of it, which I think is kind of neat because he got at the essence of the idea. He was thinking about what are the lines that make up this animal, that make this an interesting picture or portrait. So I know that green is up here. I'm going to let this part dry. There's no more blue anywhere, so that's fine. I think there's a little bit here. I don't want it to go that dark, so I just spin this out, and that's fine. There's a little bit of blue right up here I can put in. There's blue there. There's blue right here. I'm just going to put it next to it, and that'll work. So I want to leave that white. Black is going to come back in. See, my blue bled into my red there because I'm wet on wet. It's tricky, but that's the way it goes sometimes. I need to load up black so that I can do this line. I can put that there and there. Just travel around it. Be confident as you make a line. Say this is going here, right there. Now it doesn't have to be continuous. His might have been, but ours doesn't have to be. You can go right next to the last shape and blend that together and join that line. We're just looking at Juan Miro's work today. We're getting ideas from how he drew a bird. I think that's what it is. I'm not sure. I didn't talk to the man. This was 100 years ago. But it's neat to interpret people's ideas. There's that. It may bleed a little. That's okay. And then this line goes kind of like that. And I'm paying attention, but it doesn't have to be exact. I'm not going to be upset if it's not. It's fine. This is practice. Everything we do is practice. So there's that. I'm kind of waiting, wanting that to dry a little bit more, but here we go. I know that he wasn't afraid of wet paint, so I'm charging in also. And he might have actually had drips in his picture that he didn't intend, but they became part of the picture. So that's okay. And then he had lots of little lines around, and I'm just kind of putting those in. I could use a marker, but I'm a little impatient. So got those lines. I'm trying to make sure I have everything before I put my brush down. That line goes over that, that goes there. that. This comes around like that. And okay, I think I'm ready to let this dry. I'm close. I like the second one better actually than the first one even. I don't know which one's closer to the Miro. We'll look and we'll compare. But I'll put these up side by side and see what happens. There is space that's dry and not wet with a brush that I can start to put these asterisk shapes in, almost like snowflakes, or this curvy line, or this A, or this asterisk over here. And he has all these kind of fidgety little scribble lines that give movement to it. Like this looks like he might have signed his name here and then crossed it out a little bit, and my marker's getting dry and it looks kind of like what he did. And then he was surrounding some of his color, putting these marks in, and then some came through here, and it might have been like the top of the bird's head. I'm not sure. It's kind of neat to look at though. And then he had some separation in the lines, so I'm tracing over my pencil. And this Miro baby bird thing is looking kind of cool. Now, I just did something different. I put a little black line to separate that. You can if you want to, you don't have to if you don't. Also gonna blend right in over this wet blue and draw back into that red around the eye. So I want that to pop out a little bit more, be a little more vivid. Looks kind of neat. I could also do that with my black. This is pastel. When we're back at school, we have all these tools. If we're in the art room for sure, maybe not in your classroom, but you can use what you've got. I'm sure Miro just had paints handy like I do in my studio at the Frontier School here. And if you have all these things, use them if you want to. He may have just used oil paints. I don't know for sure. But there is my copy of Miro's bird, and I'll find the title and post all that. But I believe it is a bird. I hope you have fun doing this. Just use your shapes, use your lines, use your primary colors. I didn't put green in this one, but I don't have to if I don't want to either. But here's a crayon. Draw that green in. That's all I was missing. It adds a little bit, kind of confusing, but kind of neat too. All right, send me a picture of your work. For this, you really need white paper, a pencil, and crayons would be great. And then you can do those thick black lines with the crayon last. Enjoy. This is Juan Miro.